My husband found out I cheated and shut me out completely. Now I sleep alone every night.
I cheated. And now my husband won't even let me touch him. Not a hug, not a glance, nothing. I've completely destroyed his trust. And honestly, I don't know if I'll ever get it back. This isn't a post where I paint myself as the victim, because I'm not. My husband, our kids, even my parents, they're the ones carrying the weight of what I did, and I'm deeply sorry for it. But I need to be real here. About 19 months ago, I was caught in an affair with our married neighbor, father of 3. For privacy, let's call him Patrick. I was 32, he was 27. My husband, Luke, is 39. It was the biggest mistake of my life. The affair with Patrick started a little over 2 years ago and lasted nearly 5 months before the truth came out. We only slept together 4 times, and yes, I know that sounds like a lie. I swear it's the truth. Not that it makes any of this better. And before anyone asks the obvious, no, I wasn't unhappy in my marriage. Luke and I weren't having issues. I didn't fall out of love. I wasn't seeking something he didn't give me. The answer to all of it is no. I loved him. I still do. He was everything. My safe place, my partner, my best friend. We have 2 boys, 9 and 11, who adore him and who are the absolute center of my world. And I threw all of that into a fire for what? A thrill? A spark? God, I hate myself for it. Luke fulfilled me in every way, emotionally, mentally, physically. He wasn't just enough. He was everything I ever wanted and more. So why did I fall for someone else? My pull toward Patrick came from somewhere I didn't fully understand at first. It wasn't love. It wasn't even emotional. It was primal. Like this wild, reckless instinct that dragged me back to a part of myself I thought I'd buried years ago. I was 18 the first time I felt that kind of fire. Back then, I dated a few guys in high school, but it was all surface level. Just goodnight kisses and hand-holding after football games. They were more like childhood friends than real boyfriends. Then one day, I got invited to a backyard barbecue at a friend's place, and I met Reed. He was my friend's cousin, 20 years old, and the second our eyes met, it was like something snapped. I couldn't look away. Neither could he. I don't know what it was exactly, but I felt it in my bones. We talked nonstop until he had to leave for work, but not before we exchanged numbers. The next evening, we met for ice cream, then went walking and talking for hours, like we'd been waiting to find each other. And then, out of nowhere, we kissed. It didn't stop there. I ended up at his apartment, and that night, I gave him every part of me. I couldn't explain it. It just happened. It was irrational, overwhelming, consuming. But that's all we ever had. Heat. No shared values, no compatibility. After 11 months, the flame burned out. A year later, I met Luke. He checked every box. He was steady, kind, hilarious, dependable. Within a year, we were married. 13 incredible years until I lit a match to it all. We have 2 amazing boys. They've got their dad's whole face and his heart too. I'm telling this part of the story because it's where my weakness began. Because that same old heat, it came roaring back the moment Patrick and his wife, Jane, moved into our neighborhood. They were the new young couple on the block. Luke and I were the second youngest. Everyone else was in their 60s. We were supposed to be the stable ones, the safe ones. I had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. Everyone in the neighborhood welcomed Patrick and Jane like they were the new golden couple. They were young, charming, full of energy, invited to the next community picnic almost immediately. That's where it all started.
It reminded me too much of that barbecue years ago. The way I met Reed, that magnetic pull. The eye contact you pretend isn't happening but feel down to your core. The next time I saw Patrick, it was at the dealership where he worked in finance. Luke and I were car shopping for a new SUV, and when Luke realized Patrick worked there, they hit it off. We came back the following week to test drive, and Patrick made sure we got the best deal possible. Great rates, smooth paperwork, the whole thing. During the closing, our glances said way more than our words. Luke didn't notice, thank God. A few days later, I had to return to the dealership to get the mud flaps installed. That's when it crossed the line. He greeted me in the customer lounge, then invited me into his office to go over financing details. But what he really wanted was privacy. He told me straight up that he had feelings for me. I told him I felt something too, but that it was wrong. He said he didn't care. And the next morning, I went to his house. We waited until our kids had left for school, our spouses were off to work. My heart was pounding the entire time. Luke had a great job, and Jane was a licensed practical nurse. We had full lives. But still, I went. That was the first time we were physical. It happened 3 more times over the next 5 months, just 4 encounters in total. No feelings, no connection. Not like what I had with Luke, not even close. But it was dangerous, forbidden, and that made it electric. Looking back now, I know exactly what it was. I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 11 years. I was lonely, bored. And when this attractive, younger guy showed me attention, I took it. I thought I could control it, keep it quiet, have my little secret, and still keep my marriage intact. I was delusional. 19 months ago, everything came crashing down. One Thursday morning, Jane's mother walked in on us, me and Patrick, in bed, fully exposed. She lost it, screamed every curse imaginable. She slapped and clawed at Patrick, leaving deep gashes across his chest. Then she turned on me, smacked me so hard across the face I tasted blood, yanked out clumps of my hair while I scrambled to grab my clothes and run. By the time I made it home, the full weight of what I'd done hit me like a truck, and I had no idea how to tell Luke the truth. Eventually, I picked up the phone and called Luke, left him a voicemail, urgent, shaky voice, telling him I needed to talk, that it was serious. No reply. So I texted him. Still nothing. A few minutes later, there was pounding at the door, screaming through the bay windows. It was Jane and her mother, furious, loud, yelling for me to come outside. I was frozen, humiliated, too scared to move. I didn't answer. Thank God the boys were at school. Once they left, I collapsed on the couch in a fog of shame and exhaustion. I cried so hard, I passed out for a bit. Then, I heard a car door slam in the driveway. I jolted up, peeked out the window, and there he was. Luke. I rushed to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, fixed my hair, and tried to steady myself before walking back into the living room. But when he opened the door, he didn't even step inside. He turned and walked straight past me, down the street, toward Patrick and Jane's house. I watched through the window as he stayed there for almost 3 hours. When he finally came home, I ran toward him, trying to hug him.
He held out his hand to stop me. I started apologizing, pouring everything out, but he shut it down fast. Said my apology didn't mean anything, that he wanted me gone. I dropped to the floor, sobbing, begging him not to make me leave. But he was unmoved, calm, cold. He pulled out his phone and called my mom, told her what I'd done, and asked her to come pick me up. She showed up an hour later, said nothing at first, just hugged me tightly and looked like she wanted to cry too. She apologized to Luke, then gently convinced me to come home with her for the night. I packed a small bag, crying the whole time. As I left, I asked Luke how he planned to tell the kids. He simply said, "I'll handle it." I walked out of that house feeling lower than I've ever felt in my life. That night, I called him. To my shock, he answered. He didn't say much, just a quiet, "Hello?" I told him who it was, then immediately apologized, begged, promised him I'd never make another mistake like this again, told him I'd spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. He stayed silent for a long time, then asked flatly, "Do you have anything else to say?" I said no, then asked him how he felt. He answered, "I know exactly what I feel." I broke down again. Eventually, he told me to stay at my parents' place for a couple of weeks. He said he didn't want to see me right now, but we could do short calls at 9 p.m. each night. That first call ended with me whispering, "I love you." He just hung up. The next night, same thing. I poured my heart out. He stayed silent. Then, finally, he spoke. "I want a divorce." My whole body broke. I started crying so hard I could barely breathe. I begged him. I told him I'd do anything. I reminded him of our boys, of our life, of the promises we made. I told him I'd spend the rest of my life making it up to him, even if he never forgave me. But he didn't say a word. And that silence hurt worse than anything else. I started crying so hard I could barely breathe. "I'm begging you, just give me another chance," I pleaded. "I promise I won't do that again. Please, don't give up on us." I reminded him of our boys, of everything we built. I told him I'd spend the rest of my life proving I was sorry, even if he never forgave me. But he didn't say a word, and that silence hurt worse than anything else. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I gave you everything and you threw it away. I begged you to love me with honesty. You didn't. Now you're begging, and I refuse. Not the way you expect someone to." There was no yelling, no drama, just cold, clear words. He told me he knew he'd lose half of everything he'd worked for, but even so, he still wanted the divorce. Then, out of nowhere, Luke said something that shattered me even deeper. "I'll give you everything I own," he said, "if you just disappear and leave me and the boys alone." I broke. Again. Told him he didn't mean that. Begged him not to say things he couldn't take back. But he looked me straight in the eye and said he absolutely meant every word. That was the end of the call. I cried the entire night. But the next morning, something in me clicked. If I couldn't beg him to stay, maybe I could bargain. So I started researching post-nuptial agreements, something so wildly one-sided in his favor that he might pause long enough to let me prove myself again. I didn't care what it cost me. I just wanted another chance to make things right. While Luke met with his divorce attorney, I met with mine. Not to fight, not to divide, but to create a proposal, an agreement that said I was willing to give up nearly everything if he would just give our marriage a second life. It took 4 lawyers before I found one willing to draw up something that extreme, a legal Hail Mary. And just like that, the clock ran out. His lawyer had the divorce papers finished in 11 days. 2 days later, I was served at my parents' house. But I had something ready too. I had him served with the post-nup agreement the same day. We talked that night. After he read it, Luke looked surprised, like he didn't know what to do with what I was offering. And for the first time in weeks, I saw him again. The real him, not the cold stranger I'd been dealing with. Just for a moment, there was softness in his voice.
The agreement? It was a complete win for Luke. I won't go into every clause, but here's the heart of it. If we stayed married and lived under the same roof for 30 months, he'd get nearly all of our shared assets. If I ever cheated again, I'd walk away with nothing. No rights to our property, no alimony, no child support. I also had to get a full-time job within 6 months and help cover the household expenses. And he could see other women if he wanted to. I knew in my heart he never would. That's not who Luke is. But I wanted him to know how far I was willing to go to show I still loved him, enough to give him freedom. To my shock, and honestly, my relief, he agreed. With one condition. He added a clause: there would be no expectation for sex, no shared bed, no physical intimacy of any kind, unless he wanted it. That part gutted me, but I said yes, because I thought maybe, just maybe, I could still earn my way back to his heart. But things haven't gone the way I hoped. It's been 17 and a half months since we signed that postnup, what I now call our second marriage, and honestly, it doesn't feel like a marriage at all. We're housemates, co-parents, 2 people raising kids under one roof while pretending not to notice the silence stretching between us. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I thank God every single day for this second chance. But this isn't a marriage. Not really. It feels more like being divorced and still living together out of convenience. Since the affair, Luke has shown me 0 affection. None. Not a hug, not a kiss, not even a moment of physical warmth. He doesn't want me near him. If I lean in too fast, he instinctively pulls back. Sometimes I sneak in a hug or a peck on the cheek before he can react, but I can tell he hates it. So I stopped trying. And even now, after all this time, he still requires me to take at-home STD tests once a month. He says it's not about punishment, it's just peace of mind. But it feels like a leash I earned and can't shake. He also refuses to be seen with me in public. No family gatherings, no school events together. When our boys have soccer games, we take turns. And if it's my turn and he shows up, he stands across the field with the other dads like I don't even exist. The only time we're ever in the same place is when we travel, which we do more than you'd expect. But even then, it's transactional. He books 2 adjoining hotel rooms with queen beds, one for the boys, one for us. Separate beds. Always. Still, I look forward to those trips. It's the only time he softens even slightly. The only time I feel like I'm almost reaching the old Luke again. I told him this once, that maybe we should move. Start fresh in a new city, just us. But he shut it down. Said unless he gets a promotion that forces us to relocate, he's staying put until the boys finish high school. They don't want to move either. Their friends are here, Luke's friends too. Me? I have no one left. The women I used to be close with in the neighborhood, they've all cut me off. One by one. No texts, no check-ins, just cold shoulders and silence. And honestly, I get it. They blame me for tearing a family apart.
Now, the house I used to love feels like a cage. I rarely go outside unless it's to tend the backyard garden. That's become my only safe place. The boys are still out and about all the time, running around with their friends, including Jane and Patrick's kids. Their world stayed intact. Or maybe they're just better at pretending. Luke? He lives his life like nothing happened. Work, gym, then back home, where he either avoids me or hosts cigar and bourbon nights with the neighborhood dads. Sometimes they gather at our place, sometimes next door. They laugh like it's any other Thursday night. He rarely eats the food I cook. On weekdays, he skips dinner altogether. On weekends, he fires up the grill and only eats what he makes. It's like my food carries the memory of what I did, and he can't stomach either. But weekday dinners with the boys, that's become my ritual. We eat around 4 p.m. when they get home from school. They help set the table, stir sauces, carry dishes to the sink. We clean up together. That hour is sacred. It's when I feel like I still matter, like I'm still mom. We've even planted veggies and flowers together out back, built something with our hands. In a weird way, those moments are beautiful, but they exist inside a life that feels half dead. So, here I am. Some things in my life are thriving, others are rotting. And I don't know if I'm still supposed to be here. This marriage, if you can even call it that, is just a structure now. A schedule. A co-parenting contract with no warmth, no closeness, no spark. I know Luke isn't happy. I can feel it every time he walks past me without looking. I'm not his wife anymore. I'm just the mother of his children, the person who burned down the life he built. And I love him. God, I love him so much. I will carry the weight of what I did for the rest of my life. I want the old Luke back. The man who used to pull me in just to kiss me on the forehead. The one who made me feel like home. But I know he may never come back. Last month, I took some advice I wasn't ready to hear before. I packed a few bags and temporarily moved out. I rented a small, furnished apartment just a few blocks away. Far enough for space, close enough for the boys. Do I miss them? Every minute. Luke, too. And my garden. God, I miss that space like it was a person. But you know what? It's a relief to be gone from that neighborhood. Too many ghosts there. All of them my own doing. When I told Luke I was moving out, he looked surprised, like he hadn't expected me to follow through. There was something in his expression, though, a flicker of emotion that I hadn't seen in a long time. Sadness, maybe even longing. He asked questions, a lot of them. Where I was going, why now, if I'd be okay on my own. That reaction told me more than he probably intended to show. There was still something there. I could see it in his eyes, no matter how much he tried to hide it. Now, I pick up the boys from school a few times a week. They come to my apartment, we cook dinner together, they spend the night. Luke and I have been flexible about the arrangement, letting them go back and forth freely. That part has been good, stable. The hard part? I don't see Luke much anymore. Being outside the house means our paths barely cross. And when they do, it's brief. So I've started finding excuses to call him. Little things, silly things. Asking where he left the spare toolbox, what brand of cereal the boys like now, just to hear his voice. And lately, we've had a few real conversations again. Long ones. About nothing, about everything. And every time we talk, I cling to this tiny hope that maybe, just maybe, he still cares.
Because I do. I love him more than ever. That hasn't changed. But then came the day I'd been dreading. After almost 2 years of trying to rebuild something, Luke sat me down and said he was done. He told me he still loved me, but he also said that being married made it impossible to move forward, that some part of him would always feel trapped by the betrayal while we were legally bound. He needed that structure to end before he could truly begin again. He said, "I might want something with you again someday, but not like this. Not while we're still married." It was like a knife. Gentle, but deep. Then he added something unexpected. "When the divorce is final, maybe we should celebrate it together. Just one night, no guilt, just us." It sounded insane, but I knew what he meant. He was trying to make peace with the ending, without shutting the door on a new beginning. He's made it clear, no remarriage. Not ever. No more contracts. If we're together, it'll be by choice, not by law. And as much as that hurts, I understand. So I've agreed to let him keep 3/4 of our marital assets, even though he didn't meet the post-nups terms. I won't fight for alimony. I won't demand child support. Some people will say I'm a fool, but I know who earned the money, and I know who broke the vow. If I had been faithful, he would have given me everything. Now I'm giving back what I cost us both, and hoping there's still something left to rebuild. I've made peace with the decision. Between what I kept and what I let go of, I'll be fine financially for the next 8 years or more, even if I didn't work. But I am working now, and honestly, that's made things even more stable, more mine. If there's one thing I want to say to other women walking the same dangerous edge I once did, it's this: don't. Whatever thrill you think you're chasing, it's not worth it. That little rush, that forbidden excitement, it fades fast. And what you lose in its place, your partner's trust, your family's respect, your own self-worth, stays with you long after. If you're struggling, get help. Seriously. Don't lie to yourself like I did. Don't think you're stronger than the situation, because you're not. Not when you're lonely or bored or angry or just craving validation. It cost me everything, and no spark is worth burning down the life you love. But this isn't just my story anymore. Now it's Josh's turn. He's 32, married to Ellen. They dated for 2 years before tying the knot, and for a while everything seemed solid, simple, safe. Until about 2 months ago. That's when Ellen dropped a bomb. She asked if they could open the marriage. Said maybe it would add excitement, bring back the passion, make things less predictable. Josh was blindsided. He never thought Ellen, of all people, would bring up something like that. Sure, they weren't in a honeymoon phase anymore, but
things weren't falling apart either, or so he thought. To be clear, Josh isn't controlling. He's not trying to box her in, but the suggestion cut deep because once you open the door to something like that, you can't just close it again without wondering what's already slipped through. And honestly, most people aren't built for it. An open marriage sounds sexy on podcasts. In real life, it's a knife fight disguised as freedom. Josh told her straight up, no. He wasn't okay with it. It wasn't about being boring. He's willing to try new things. He just wants those things to happen with her, not with some third person in the mix. He thought she'd understand. Instead, she looked disappointed, hurt even, and that crushed him. Because Josh would do anything for her. He usually does. He bends, he compromises, he gives. But this felt like the one line he couldn't cross. And he wasn't sure if Ellen was willing to stay on the same side with him. Even though Ellen didn't say much after our conversation, I could feel it. The silence, the weight, the way she avoided my eyes. She wasn't okay with how I responded, and it gnawed at me.
I started questioning myself. Everything from my ability to satisfy her in bed to whether I'd gotten too comfortable, too predictable. I wanted to talk to her, to really understand where this was coming from, but she kept quiet. Ellen's a consultant. Her work is intense. Non-stop meetings across different time zones, always flying somewhere, barely sleeping. Meanwhile, my schedule's busy too, but at least I stay in one place. I don't have jet lag as an excuse not to talk. Because of her chaotic schedule, I couldn't bring it up again right away. Days turned into a week, then almost 2. And during that time, I tore myself apart with regret. Maybe I'd shut her down too fast. Maybe if I'd asked more questions instead of reacting emotionally, we wouldn't be in this weird place now. So one night, I got home earlier than usual. I made her favorite meal, something warm and nostalgic, the kind of thing you don't forget. She smiled, hugged me. We sat down and talked like normal people for once. And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe we're reconnecting. So I brought it up, gently. Just asked her to explain what she meant about the open marriage thing, where it came from. But instead of a conversation, I got a wall. She snapped, said I was playing mind games, that I'd baited her with dinner and affection just to catch her off guard, that this was manipulation. It hit me hard. I wasn't trying to trap her. I just wanted to understand. So I asked the one thing I was afraid to ask. Am I not enough for you? That's when she finally opened up. She told me about the interns in her office, 20-somethings fresh out of college. They're wild, they party, they hook up, they live without consequences. Their stories are filled with chaos and excitement. And somehow, that planted a seed in her mind. She didn't say it outright, but it was clear. She felt like she was missing out, like life was passing her by while she played it safe with a stable marriage. And honestly, I understood. Temptation doesn't always come from wanting something better. Sometimes it's just the fear of being left out. I listened. I told her I got it. I've lived that life too. Parties, hookups, no rules. But I told her what I learned. That kind of thrill always fades. And when it does, it leaves a void. What I found with her, that was the first thing in my life that ever actually felt full. We got married for a reason. I saw a future with her, a family, something real. And I'm not ready to throw it away for something fake. After our talk, I laid everything on the table. I told Ellen straight up, if she truly wanted an open marriage, we could revisit the idea, but only if she was serious about what it would mean. I wasn't trying to guilt her. I just needed honesty. She shut it down immediately, denied it was something she wanted, claimed she was just exploring an idea. And for a minute, I believed her. We talked, she nodded along. It felt like we were on the same page, like she understood where I stood and maybe even agreed with me. But I was wrong. At first, things felt normal again, almost like nothing had changed. We cooked, joked, watched a show or two, but after about a week, her energy shifted. Suddenly, she was distant, cold, snappy. When I asked what was going on, she blamed work, said she was under pressure, chasing a promotion, that the long hours were messing with her mood. But the way she started lashing out over small things didn't feel like stress. It felt like resentment. She rolled her eyes at me, called me rigid, old school, and stuck in the past during arguments over literally nothing. When I asked what she meant, she said I was too stubborn, unwilling to grow or keep up with the world. I was stunned. I keep up with trends. I don't live under a rock. I like new music. I follow fashion. Hell, I even watch the same binge-worthy shows she does. But I knew what she was really saying. She meant I wasn't okay with the whole open marriage idea. So I asked her, directly, "Are you still upset that I said no?" She didn't speak, just nodded. That nod haunted me for days. She started coming home late, more and more. At first, it was once or twice a month. Now it's every other night. And sometimes she doesn't come back until dawn. Every time I ask, it's the same excuse: work, pressure, the promotion. And I want to believe her. I really do. But doubt has a way of creeping in when the answers stop making sense. Last night, something inside me snapped. I came home early and decided to cook her favorite, lasagna, the one recipe I actually make better than her. I thought it might soften things, maybe even bring us back for just one night. I texted her. She replied, "Late tonight, maybe after midnight." My heart sunk, but I waited, played some games, starved, kept watching the clock. Then, for the first time ever, I got the impulse to pick her up from work. Something I never did unless we had plans. I just wanted to see her. So I drove over. Her building's easy to find. Standalone, glass front, always lit. I parked out front and waited 45 minutes. Midnight passed. Still no sign of her. Finally, I went up. The office was still buzzing, night shift, doing their thing. I asked the front desk where she was. The receptionist blinked. She left a while ago. I stood there, stunned. Rushed home. No sign of her. I wasn't even thinking about cheating, just safety. Panic. I passed out on the couch from pure exhaustion. When I opened my eyes at sunrise, I shot up, heart racing, and ran straight to the bedroom. There she was, Ellen, asleep, peaceful, curled under the sheets like nothing was wrong in the world. I didn't say anything. I just walked over, pulled the blanket up to her shoulder, and went back to sleep on the couch, still wearing the clothes from the night before. In the morning, she was already dressed and rushing around, brushing her hair and sipping coffee. I asked casually, "What time did you get in last night?" She answered without flinching. "Around 3 a.m., had a late meeting with an overseas client." I blinked. 3 a.m.? So I asked,
when exactly she left her office. She said, around 2:30, long day. That hit me like a truck, because just a few hours earlier, I was standing outside that very office at 12:30 a.m., and the receptionist had told me Ellen had already left. Either someone was lying, or I was going insane. I didn't push her. I was too drained, mentally and physically, so I just nodded. Later that day, she called. Apparently, the receptionist had mentioned my late-night visit. She sounded weird, like she was trying to keep her tone light, but there was tension underneath. I asked her why the receptionist told me she had already left hours before 2:30.
That's when she switched stories. Said she'd gone to a client's U.S. office across town for a long Zoom session with the company's Asian branch. Different time zones, long meetings. I've heard the jargon before. It's standard in her industry. Still, something didn't add up. I wanted to believe her, but this gut feeling, it wouldn't go away. For the next 2 weeks, we barely spoke. Just surface-level stuff. Dinners, bills, basic check-ins about the boys. The coldness between us was unbearable, and all I could think was, what the hell is going on? Then, 2 nights ago, everything exploded. Ellen was on the bed, FaceTiming for Mom. Her mom's been dealing with chronic kidney problems, and apparently the latest test results weren't good. While she talked, I sat on the edge of the bed, just listening. But something snapped. Out of nowhere, I picked up her phone, said I wanted to check on her mom's messages. She handed it over, distracted, still chatting. As I walked to the bathroom, I flipped it to speaker, locked the door, and opened the screen. There they were. Notifications. Messages. Chats. Everything. One text popped up. Still on for that fun ride later? That wasn't her mom. I opened her social apps, and my stomach dropped. She was having an affair. Not just one. Multiple. With her young coworkers. The same interns she once said were just fun to talk to. Within seconds, she was at the door, banging, yelling, demanding I give her phone back. I ignored her and went for the gallery. What I found? Pictures. Explicit ones. My wife. My beautiful, confident wife, doing things I never imagined. Posing. Performing. Interns. Her voice was still at the door, but I couldn't hear anything. Just the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I emailed the photos to myself, every one of them. Then I wiped the history clean, closed the gallery, and just sat there, staring at the screen. Hands shaking, heart racing. She cheated. Not once. Not with one guy. Multiple. Her own colleagues. I felt the sickness rise from the pit of my stomach, like I might throw up all over the sink. Meanwhile, outside the door, Ellen was still knocking, still calling for her phone. Her voice made my skin crawl. I unlocked the door, shoved the phone into her hands, and slammed it shut again without a word. I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, to throw everything on the floor and watch it shatter like my trust had, but I didn't. I waited. Waited until the fury settled into something cold. Then I walked out, grabbed my car keys, and left. She called my name behind me, like that was going to fix anything. I didn't even flinch. I just walked. I knew exactly where to go. One of the chats said, 5 p.m., hotel downtown. The name, the room, it was all there, in black and white, like she wanted to get caught. I got there at 3.
Sat in the darkest corner of the hotel lobby I could find. No plan, no confrontation strategy, just me, a bottle of cheap whiskey, and a pounding heart. I wasn't even sure why I came. Maybe I thought seeing her in the act would make the truth more real. Maybe I was too broken to feel anything else. By 5, nothing. No sign of her. I figured she either saw me or changed the meeting spot. Honestly, at that point, I was too wasted to care. I kept drinking. 7 p.m. That's when I saw her. She was at the front desk, checking in. Smiling. Calm. Gorgeous. God, she looked like herself. Like the woman I'd married.
And just like that, my world split open. 4 hours of alcohol in my veins. I got up, stumbled over, and tapped her on the shoulder. Good luck with your fun ride. I probably said more. I don't remember. It's a blur. She tried to grab my hand to explain something, words I don't recall. I pulled away and walked out like a ghost on autopilot. Called a cab, crashed on my buddy Lee's front porch. Didn't even knock, just collapsed. Next thing I knew, it was Sunday afternoon. I woke up on his couch like a man who'd lost a war in his own home. Lee handed me lemonade and lunch. I told him everything. He didn't even blink, just told me what to do. Freeze the accounts, change the passwords, get checked. I nodded. But honestly, I didn't care about the money, or the logistics, or even revenge. All I could think was, how the hell did we get here? When I finally reached for my phone, it was stone cold dead. I plugged it in, and as soon as the screen lit up, I was hit with a wall of chaos. Over 100 missed calls, 50 voicemails, and a tsunami of unread messages. All from Ellen. I didn't open a single one. More started pouring in within minutes. Calls, pleas, voice notes, wall-to-wall desperation. I blocked her everywhere. No explanation, no warning, just done. I couldn't bear to see her name on my screen anymore. It made my skin crawl. That was Monday. I called in sick, told my boss I needed time. And I did because I was spiraling. I drank myself into a haze, sat in Lee's apartment like a ghost, pretending to exist. Everything felt unreal, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. Lee took the wheel. Recommended we lock down every shared account, change every password, and get tested for STDs, just in case. The tests came back clean. Small victories, I guess. He found me a lawyer, a beast, and I sent over every photo and screenshot from Ellen's phone. No sugarcoating, no filter. Just the truth. I've been crashing at Lee's place ever since. Lucky for me, he needed a roommate. Meanwhile, Ellen's been on a mission. Calling, texting, begging. She even hit up Lee. Said she wanted to fix everything, that the hookups meant nothing, just exploring, trying to feel beautiful again. I don't know what to make of all this Gen Z self-discovery BS. Sounds like an excuse wrapped in emotional language to cover up betrayal. A few days later, I asked Lee to swing by my place to grab my stuff. I figured Ellen would be at work, business as usual. She wasn't. Lee found her there, collapsed emotionally, crying, trying to explain. She told him she quit her job. Said it all started with the interns. They flirted, made her feel wanted, fed her ego. Then came the hookups. Then came the cash. She started paying for everything. Meals, gifts, hotels. They bled her dry. And she let them. By the time she realized she was being used, she was too deep into it. Lee asked her why she didn't just tell me the truth. She claimed she had, that asking for an open marriage was her confession. I call bull. You don't confess cheating after it happens by framing it like a kinky suggestion. Now she's dragging her feet on the divorce papers, claims I pushed her to cheat, like I held a gun to her head and made her sleep with half the damn intern pool. Worse, she's asking for alimony, claims the emotional distress of the divorce deserves compensation. You've got to be kidding me. Later that month, Jane, her sister, reached out asking me to reconsider. Said Ellen's spiraling. Said those interns leaked her pictures around the office. She's humiliated, depressed, burned every bridge. She can't even get referrals now. I told Jane the truth. Ellen blew up our marriage for a cheap thrill. She wanted chaos. She got it. Now she's dealing with the fallout. Meanwhile, I'm healing. I've cut back on drinking. I hit the gym daily. I'm working more, eating clean, sleeping better. I'm putting my life back together without her. The divorce is still crawling through legal red tape thanks to her dragging her heels. But my lawyer's optimistic. We'll be done soon, and I'll be free.